where there are complaints, especially where there are murders, and any other related matters. So in summary, they are policing the police.
Thank you very much, Minister. So in your testimony, you then indicated that the IPID report on Phala Phala was classified by the head of IPID. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Not by yourself. So based on your response on what the mandate of IPID is, can I then confirm that IPID would not be investigating the president? They are investigating police conduct.
That's correct.
Now, how does one get a report declassified, Minister, if somebody was looking for a report that IPID would have classified?
You will need to wait until IPID declassifies it. In other words, they review their decision and they come to that conclusion. When there was a question from Parliament on the classification, which was mistakenly assumed to be me who had done that, I actually took the question, went to IPID to say, did you classify? What were the reasons? I'm facing a question in Parliament, and they told me that it is them, independent of the minister, and some of the reasons they touted were other parallel investigations that were going on in relation to Phala Phala, and therefore they then classified for that reason until they come to another conclusion, maybe at the conclusion of some criminal cases that were going on under another entity that time.
Thank you, Minister. So I would be correct then, based on what you said, if I was to advise Honorable Skhosana that if he is looking for information about an IPID report that does not investigate the president, despite his repeated assurances to that regard, he has to approach IPID for the classification of the report.
That's correct, Honorable.
Thank you. So I trust that will bring the matter to a close, Honorable Skhosana, on Phala Phala.
Chair, singabantu Chair, mele sibonge Chair. Siyabonga mamdikuzamile ukumdefend uminister ongizophinda futhi. Sorry.
Honorable Shongwe, I agree, you know how much I love you and how much I respect you.
Don't take my 10 minutes.
You know that. And I have assured you that there is at no time where we will deny you an opportunity to speak. So when you raise your hand, the chair will gladly recognize you. Like I do now, Honorable Sanguni has completed the part that she wanted to, and I saw that your hand was up. I now allow you to speak.
Thank you, Chair. No, Chair, kuyisinto ukuthi umuntu mayenza kahle sibonge. So sumkhonto wesizwe Chair besicela ukubonga kumamkhusela ukuthi awuzamile umdefend uminister. Kodwa sizombuza ke imibuzo ngoba iPhala Phala leli miningi imize egcekeziwe emalokishini awaclassifyanga ama-document walawo ama-docket walawo mizile egcekeziwe. Sisazoyixoxa ngoba ireporta kuyi-IPID. Siyabonga mamkhusela ne-ANC edefend uminister. Inkosi ibusise. Amen.
Do you want to comment on the message of gratitude?
No, it's a pleasure, Honorable Chairperson. As the ANC, we will continue to seek to educate Umkhonto wesizwe, as they call us ngabantu bakwagogo. So we're happy to educate them on how these things work. Thank you, Chair.
I see the hand of Honorable Nomvalo is up.
Yeah, no, Chair. Can members of this committee be protected? And not, Chair, please don't allow their names to be wrongfully cited in a line of questioning. If we want to maintain the decorum of this meeting, I think it's important that we comply with the highest principles of discipline and not allow members to just throw in names unnecessarily so and unprovoked of one of members of one of honorable members in this committee. I thought you are going to protect us against what honorable...
what has been said, Honorable Nomvar?
And two, we don't need to be educated by the ANC. They don't qualify to educate us. And they will never qualify. We don't need to be educated. If anything, it's us who must educate them on how to run a country without being engulfed by corruption. They need to be protected, to be educated by us. This country is in turmoil because of them. So, Chair, please protect us, because if you allow them to degenerate, we are also going to degenerate. We can degenerate, but because we respect your stewardship as the Chair, and we respect members of this committee, we choose not to degenerate. So can we not be drawn to such? Please.
I want to hear from you. What is the part that you want corrected?
No, he must not throw the name of Skosana in her line of questioning. It's unnecessary, Chair. To say to a witness, if I tell Skosana this, will I be correct? This is not about individuals.
Okay. So what you are saying is that instead of being specific, she could just have said honorable member.
No, Chair. As we ask questions here, people must not take notes of what we are asking and want to use our names unnecessarily so in their line of questioning. You can ask a question without mentioning Skosana and without being sarcastic, because she was sarcastic by saying, if I tell Skosana this, would I be correct? What is that?
Okay. Honorable Mattheys.
Mine is just on clarity, Chair, so we don't want to leave the nation misunderstood about our terms of reference, as Honourable Member has said. On 3.5 and 3.6 of our terms of reference, it covers, if we want to bring in Phala Phala, we can bring in Phala Phala, because the broader scope of what we're doing, I've just lost these terms of reference, speaks to us investigating the broader corruption within the justice system. And if Phala Phala, Honourable Member, falls under that, we are allowed to bring that to the committee and for us to investigate that as well. And also in terms of us declassifying documents, it does not need the MKP to go and declassify the Phala Phala report. We can make that decision here as a committee to have that done if it's going to serve the purpose of it. So it was just about clarification before the nation is misled by the GNU. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Malema.
No, on 2 points, Chair. It will be disingenuous and anti-democratic principles not to make reference to an honorable member who made a point that you think it is differently put and therefore more clarity is sought. So there is nothing wrong with what Honorable Sangoni does. In the principles of debates, the best option for your name not to be called again is to keep quiet. If you are sensitive like that, keep quiet. But if you are going to open your mouth, you must know a reference is going to be made to that opened mouth, especially if it gets opened and say a lot of nothing. So there is nothing wrong with points of engagements and done in a very respectful way, where Honorable Sangon waited for a turn. She could have come in even at that time. She decided, no, I'm not going to come in at that time. I'll wait for my turn. So what is that? That is, you must not be scared of the highest stage of engagement. And that is Parliament. That's where we are now. And then the second point is, in terms of 3.5 of our terms of reference and 3.6, actually I must read them. Establish whether any wrongdoing, corruption, or breach of conduct have occurred within SAPS or any other relevant institution as outlined in the revelation. Assess the adequacy of internal mechanism for dealing with corruption, misconduct, and poor management within the SAPS, within the Ministry of... So if there is corruption that is being done at IPID, and amongst other things, the corruption of sealing Phala Phala, we are well within our rights to raise it here. And the minister can answer for himself. So, Honorable Skosana is not outside the terms of reference of this ad hoc committee, and therefore there is nothing wrong with what he said about Phala Phala. We think and we hold a view, some of us, that Phala Phala at IPID was wrongly classified, because we find no justification why Phala Phala is classified. Police who were investigating Phala Phala ended up being investigated by IPID because someone reported them at IPID that these police were favoring the president, and before all of them were equal. Therefore, we want IPID to investigate the conduct of these police who are protecting the president. Whether you like it or not, Phala Phala is the president, is Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. It's a synonym for Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. So it doesn't matter how people want to put it. So we are well within our right, Chair, and that right must be protected, and society must not be misled that people who speak about Phala Phala here, they are outside the terms of reference. And the good thing with terms of reference, the constitution or the law, is very important that every time when you speak about it, make reference to it, because you might think you know it, only to find that you don't know it. It's like Bible. A lot of you think you know Bible and you end up saying wrong things because you had those pastors who are feeding people petrol saying the same things, and you come here and repeat those things without having read the Bible. Thanks.
Honorable Chief Whip. No, I'm aware the clock has stopped.
Yeah.
Honorable Sangoni, you must not be worried.
No, thanks, Chair. I think the earlier intervention made by Honorable Malema is quite correct. Throughout our sessions, I mean, right from the inception, we have made references, and I will when I ask questions to the minister later on. We have been making references to questions that were posed by either the senior counsel or any one of our members. So that practice is correct, and I don't think that we should change it. Where I think, on the second intervention, where I think we probably running a risk that colleagues did not understand the context within which Honorable Sangon was raising the issue. Over a period of time, on many occasions in this platform, the insinuation has been made that the classification of the Phala Phala report was at the instance or at the behest of the minister. References have been made, if you go to our records in this ad hoc committee, that the minister somehow had a hand on that issue. As a consequence of which, in one of our hearings, one of the witnesses was asked a direct question, I can't remember which of the generals, who has the authority to classify the report? And the answer was that the only person who can classify the report is the primary author of the report. Now, when Honorable Sangon is raising the question, of course, she may have jokingly then made references, which is what I suppose has also made the MKP not to be comfortable. She may have been very, very casual in terms of how she refers to Honorable Skosana. But the fundamental issue is that nobody is saying a discussion on the Phala Phala question, in whatever way it arises in this meeting, is a violation of our terms of references. But we would like you to appreciate the context within which she posed the question to the minister, because that has got to do with our history as opposed to what has actually happened today. I thought it's important, Chair, to clarify that, because I don't think there's a fundamental difference between what Honorable Malema is saying and his understanding with what Honorable Sangon was saying. The question is the context within which she raises the question, given our history with this matter. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Honorable Skosana.
Ngithokoze Mgcinisihlalo. It is unfortunate that, in fact, let me put it this way, it's not unfortunate. It was obvious. I serve in the Police Portfolio Committee. I'm not parachuted. For the last, since I came into Parliament, I understand much better than what Honorable Member Sangone was trying to educate me. There's nothing he can educate me about. IPAD, IDEC, and whatever institution which we deals with. You know? Now, the issue, no, I'm not going to play with some semantics here. I can do that if I want to be naughty. But I was naughty during those years when I was young. Now, the minister is not a zombie unless they want to turn him into a zombie. The minister answered me on the day. He answered me. She doesn't need he doesn't need an advocate or an SC here. Now, if somebody wants to attack me indirectly, I'm straight. Straight, I'm not, I don't fear anything in my life. Now, let's not do that. The decorum which my colleague was talking about, we want to maintain that. Now, if the honorable member is uncomfortable, I don't belong to the factions of the ANC. I don't belong to any factions. I know it's a very sensitive matter for the minister. And I feel pity for Honorable Sangwin, because we're still going to ask the minister here. And other members who are coming, employees of the ANC. And we are not here playing party politics. Let him present her own story here. Ask her own question. I'm not going to interfere. Even if he says iPad or iPad belongs to a Department of Justice, is fine. But I know, because I serve in that committee. I didn't remove anyone to come in here.
No, it's fine.
No one was removed. I'm here. I'm serving in that portfolio. I know the history. I know everything. I didn't come here to defend anybody or anyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Honorable Skosan. Honorable Nomvalo, you will be the last.
Yeah, no, Chair. I just wanted to make this point that we still maintain our position. And we are saying this to seek your guidance. We're not inviting opinions and sentiments about how sensitive we are and so on. Here we seek your guidance as the chairperson of this meeting to say, don't allow a situation where some members choose to be sarcastic and tell us that they are educating us, as if they qualify to educate us. They don't qualify to educate us. It's us who qualify to educate them, not the other way around. So, Chair, we are seeking for your guidance. We're not seeking for anyone's guidance except yours as a chairperson of this meeting. We can't allow the name of the MK party to be rubbished here. If people have got a problem with the MK party, they must raise that elsewhere. It's not us who said people must lose elections. It's not the MK, it's not us who said people must get 1% in KZN and be voted only by their girlfriends, their candidates, and not receive any votes from anyone. So they must not come and express their anger here in the ad hoc committee, because we can do that as well. There is no mouth here which speaks a lot of nothing. If there's anything that does a lot of nothing, is a nose that can't even control mafinyila. Not a mouth that speaks a lot of nothing. Everything that we have spoken here as the MK party is in line with the terms of reference. It's in line with the terms of reference. Chair, if anything, we will never be bullied here. If people have been thriving through bullying, they are not going to bully us. We're not going to allow that. We're talking to you. We have no interest of talking to anyone about the guidance that we request from you and the protection that we request from you. So can we be protected, Chair? Because we will be tempted to respond.
Thank you so
For as long as they provoke us, we will respond.
Thank you so
fearlessly
much.
so.
Honorable members, let me do this. Let me tell you,
No,
because
Chair.
I will give you a chance to speak. Let me
No,
say
on a point of order, I just want to make one point very clear.
point of order. On
You see, the problem is when you deal with anti-intellectuals,
No, but he is out of order. I'm
That's
also raising a
from
point of order, Chair.
ruralitarianism.
I'm raising a point of order.
I'm
These are
ruling
small-
On a point
these are
of order,
small boys
Chairperson,
that
on a
have
point of
engaged-
order.
I've engaged their
On a point
father
of order, Chair.
long before
Chair,
they
on a
arrived
point
here.
of order. On a point of order,
When they were still
Chairperson.
looking after
On a point
cows
of order, Chairperson.
in the villages
he
of
continues to
Mchunu.
say nothing. He
I was
says a
dealing
lot
with
of
their
nothing.
father here.
He can't even
Yeah.
control Mafinyila.
They can't do anything.
He can't
Small
even
boys.
control Mafinyila.
Control
That's
your-
the only thing.
control your weight.
We're going to speak, Chair, for as long
Control
as
your weight.
We're
At
not
least
going
control
to
your
be
weight.
bullied by Malema
And
here.
ri- and buy
We're
the
not
right
going
size
to be
of
bullied by
clothes.
you. We're not your boys. We're not your fans here,
control your
Malema.
weight and
We
buy
are
the
not
right
your
size of
fans
clothes.
here.
Okay.
You think what these boys were carrying bags for you?
That
We're
fed
not
is-
your fans
that
here.
fed is
We
going to
are
kill
not
you
your
in your
fans. We
sleep.
are going to confront you.
Honorable
We will
Malema.
confront you.
to kill
We
you
will
in your
confront you. We will confront you.
Honorable
We are not your
Malema,
fans here.
Honorable Nomvalo.
We're not your fans here.
Honorable members, may
We're going to confront him.
May you please listen to me, honorable
We're going to
members.
confront him. We're not his fans.
I
We're not
request,
just boys who are carrying bags for him.
honorable members, I request
Control
that
your
You are not going to
Control
bully us.
you.
Control
You are
your
not
weight.
going
I
to bully
request that
us,
you
Malema.
listen-
We're not
you
going to be
listen to
bullied
me.
by you. We'll never be bullied by you.
Honorable Nomvalo, you are the last person whose microphone is still on. You know, when I was at teaching, the session after lunch, we used to call it the graveyard session. And the experience now is the opposite of what I went through in my other life. This really cannot be the graveyard session. Let's do like this, honorable members. Number one, I want to tell you what belongs here and what does not belong here. Number one is that there is a statement which was made here that by the MKP. And the ruling that I make is that, yes, it is correct that honorable members can make reference to any statement that was made by a member during the proceedings. I don't think that Honorable Sangoni was wrong to have mentioned the name of Honorable Skosana, to say Honorable Skosana has asked a question about the classification of information by IPIT, answers which the minister a question to which the minister has responded. Number two, it is true that if honorable members want to probe or inquire about alleged corruption at Pala, if there has been, they will not be wrong in terms of the scope of the terms of reference that we have adopted. Those are the two issues that belong here to this meeting. Yesterday, I spoke to Honorable Skosana and said to him that once the referee blows a whistle, it means the referee has seen a misconduct that is not allowed in the pitch. And once the player who has been fouled reacts or remonstrates with the referee, that player also acts in common purpose. So I may not want to be thrown into how you conduct yourselves, but I want to remind you this. All along, I have been emphasizing this point that when we are here, we are in service of the people of South Africa. And I want to make this appeal once again to all of you, that let us not make the people of South Africa to know our parts, which we are not. The way they know us, let it always be how they know us, and not introduce to them the other sides which they have never known about us. Because that is how we keep the decorum of this parliament, and that is how we also keep our individual personalities intact. I mean, it's very, very unfortunate, Honorable Malema and Honorable Nomvalo, that it had to come to the point that it did, and for sure, I think that you should also be regretting that there could have been a way to deal with the matters that you strongly feel about than to have dealt it the way you did. But look, you can't be crucified for that. You are human beings. Sometimes you may get very emotional, and at the end of the day, you learn from such moments in life. You are leaders coming from political parties recognized in this country. Mogolo o pelopedi. When you are a leader, you must always have two hearts. When the other heart is saturated, the other heart is it must become a second venue. Okay, the second heart must be able to help the other heart to restore your calm. So I hope that as leaders, you regret the moment that we are coming out of, and because I can't prescribe, I can just say we may not experience this kind of behavior again. And let me assure you, sitting here as the chairperson, I respect you so much. And I love you so much. You must not doubt it. I love you, Honorable Nomvalo. I love you, Honorable Maleo. I appreciate you so much. And so, you know, sometimes I feel very bad about it. But look, we have to move forward and serve the people of this country. Honorable Sangwin, we will add 15 minutes more to your time. Yes, yeah, so.
Thank you very much.
So what it means is mutatis mutandis. So it will be you and the chief whip. It will no longer be 4 o'clock, it will be 4:15. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you so much also for your guidance in this matter. I'm sorry, Honorable Skosana, if you took offense, but I see now at least Honorable Manyi has joined us, so you are reinforcing. Thank you, Chair. It's a joke, okay. Chair, let me go to the questions, and thank you very much. Minister, I just want to start on the issue of what brings us here, and apologies to you, Minister, as well, that you had to sit through that. Obviously, at the core of the issues is around that 31st of December directive. Now, the Minister obviously appreciates that any administrative action has to be lawful and rational. I hold a view which coincidentally coincides with yours around the action. I want you to take us through that. I may hold a different view on rationality, but on lawfulness. So this year, my understanding is that the national policing policy was adopted in May of 2025. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So would it be your testimony, Minister, that you felt that the PKTT in its operations did not align with the policy or any other policy directive? And if so, briefly, Minister, because I know you've spoken to us, can you just elaborate how you were of the view that it's not aligned to policy?
Well, it is more non-alignment with PFMA than any other law, in the sense that more and more I felt that when all the information was before me, I felt that we may have made an error allowing the National Political Killing Stars team to operate without extensions that had been done as a procedure or process before. And then it became one of the factors. And then the other factors that I've been alluding to here added as well.
So it's on the basis of that it was then a policy directive.
Exactly. It exactly arose in that context that I could do it.
Minister, you've been a minister since, if I'm not mistaken, July or August of last year. Were these the first directives that you gave to the National Commissioner?
Not necessarily, but in that form, yes.
Mm-hmm. What would have been the nature of either other directives or any other directives you would be aware of that a Minister of Police would have given to the National Commissioner would be in the space that you were directing on?
The other directives that arose in the context of discussions after we got appointed under the broad umbrella of orientation, which I said got elevated to discussions, got elevated to also decisions that were taken along the lines. I would make one example, that of removing from the structure the unit called Police Inspectorate. It was during that discussion, those discussions on the organizational structure, that the matter arose. And we said, no, after we asked questions and all of that, and we said, no, go and review this with a view to removing it from the organizational structure. In my view, that was a directive, but it arose in that context. This one arose in a different context, as I have outlined before.
So, Minister, that directive then, which
Chair,
for me...
Apologies, Honourable Sangwan. I think the voice of the minister is too romantic this time. Sometimes we struggle to hear him. If he can come closer to the mic. It's too romantic. It's that romance that you have been preaching here in the House, Chair. Thank you.
The chair started it. So Minister,
No. What I said was plutonic.
That directive, Minister, sounds to me very much like this directive. So you are speaking to issues of a structure being removed, the police inspectorate. You did not get as much backlash as you did on this one. Is that correct?
I didn't, and that's correct.
Okay. No, thank you, Minister. I want to move on then to... Okay, I want to go to the IMC, but before I go to the IMC, you indicated in your testimony that you received a handover report from Minister Ele. I just want to find out, did that handover report from Minister Ele say anything on the PKTT?
Not as I read it. What was there, though, was a reference to committees in which the minister in that term, the last term, or the term before, was serving. Any other leadership position that the minister had been playing, that is what was reflected, not necessarily the National Political Killing Stars team per se in any form.
Did he maybe give any reason at any point why he did not shut down the unit himself? I mean, it was a 2019 implementation plan. Did Minister Ele at any point, whether it was during the orientation or any point, indicate why he did not shut down that unit?
Not really. We didn't delve into that matter.
Okay. Now, Minister, this is where I disagree with you, and it's on the IMC. The handover report that Minister Ele would have handed over to you, if he used a standard template of handover reports, he should have in that handover report indicated which IMCs he was serving in as Minister of Police. Was this particular IMC there?
Yes, it was there.
Okay. So you had said, and I had been tempted to agree with you, that an IMC ends at the end of a term. But when I tried to look at this, I was informed that IMCs are established in two ways, one by presidential minute or two by cabinet decision. And there's always a process to disestablish an IMC, which is either it going to report to cabinet or memos being signed. Now, why would you then take it that at the end of the sixth administration, this particular IMC that had been handed over to you had been disestablished?
It's because cabinet at some point did sit and there were announcements of a new committees, IMCs and all of that, and this one was not mentioned.
Okay, then I think that that may be new evidence, Minister, because what we have been deliberating on is, does it exist from sixth administration to seventh administration? But if you are saying that then cabinet agreed on the IMCs for this term, we would really like to see that, because I think it has an implication on your testimony. Now, you then say, Minister, that the reason you disbanded the PKTT was because it had been established by the IMC. You say that in your testimony, I'm not sure which page. Then in page 235 of the bundle, which is an information note written by General Khumalo, Lieutenant General Khumalo, requesting funding. He says the PKTT was established by the IMC. Page 247, which is a report to the minister written by General Masemula. In the fourth paragraph, he again confirms the establishment of the PKTT by the IMC. So there's no dispute, I think, there in terms of the PKTT being established by the IMC. You then say, when you took a decision to de-establish the PKTT, was because it has been established by the IMC. Why did you not, and I think you've been asked this question, I'm just not getting it, why did you not then consult the other ministers who would be affected by your decision to disband? Because you say it was an IMC thing. Yes, the IMC doesn't exist, but why didn't you tell your colleagues who had been part of establishing it?
I'm sure it is the manner in which the decision was arrived at. We said with the deputy ministers, I think it was on the 21st of November 2024, to look at a number of issues that were picked up since appointment. In the main, those were complaints and so on of a human rights nature, and others about intelligence, subs, and some practices, dismissals and all of that. But we were getting allegations as well from different people. And then we said, what do we do with these allegations? In fact, we started by saying, what have you been receiving? Deputy Minister 1, Deputy Minister 2, and then I also shared some of the things that I had been receiving. And the resolution was saying, go and engage the National Commissioner around these matters, yourself, Minister. So we agreed, but I didn't do that. I think it was 21 or 26, thereby, because we had not discussed the details of the nature in which the form of that engagement, the extent, and all of those things. So I then grappled with that particular question. Now, it took some time, and I wasn't anticipating that there would be an ad hoc committee or a commission. I was just grappling on my own to say, how do I meaningfully engage the National Commissioner? Not just engage for the sake of engaging, engage for the sake of taking meaningful decisions that will take us further and out of what we were discussing, what we seemingly were in. Now, it went on and on because we were busy and with other things, and I wasn't that quick in taking that decision. It was only after I settled at break around the 29th and so on. Then I went home to sit, knowing I'm not getting up to some business, and then the other day, and then things started sinking properly and shaping up properly. And then on the 31st I wrote. Now, I may have been concentrating on what I needed to do as a minister appointed, and then that issue of consulting other ministers, even though there was no IMC, didn't arise. But I did check, though, I must confirm, with the special advisor to say, if you read this letter, because I consulted him after, and mainly on what I'd written, lawfulness of this constitution, and we agreed that it was all within the powers of the minister as per constitution and legislation, and then I went ahead.
Okay, Minister, now you say that you, as Minister of Police, who was chair of the IMC, you felt that it was within your rights to do this. But how do you say that as chair of an IMC that you yourself believe didn't exist, you could then disband? Where did you then draw the authority to disband from? Because you, in your statement, you say it was established by the IMC could disband it. You then didn't consult the IMC, but then as chair of the structure that you say didn't exist, where did you then derive that authority from?
This was a political intervention. It was not established through legislation. The minister has powers like 207(2), and so on and so on. Now, when the National Political Killings Task Team was established, it was not through that power, but it was through a political intervention, starting from the president, then the IMC, political intervention, not legislation, the minister sitting and then saying, through powers vested on me, I must establish, I'm hereby establishing, as it had happened before, because there was another task team that had been established in 2016 and another that had been established in 2014. This one was not established that way. It was political intervention from president to IMC, of which the minister was one. So I then relied on that particular sequence or that particular mode or to do that, but leaning on the powers of the member of the executive. In other words, saying this was political intervention, this is political intervention, but now because I'm minister, I'm using those that framework as minister to do what I did.
No, thanks, Chair, thanks. And I want to make a follow-up, Minister, on the question and the answer you provided. Let me give you the reasons why that question is fundamental. We have come to understand that the IMC was established by the President, and it was the IMC that established the PKTT or the NKPKTT. Now, the reason Honorable Sangweni is asking this question, Minister, is because our own deductions is that your existence as the chair of the Interministerial Committee equally cease to exist when the committee is not re-established? And therefore, where would you draw the authority to disband the entire team as opposed to withdrawing the police who are under your executive authority as a Minister of Police? Because if you had said, no, I was not the chair of the IMC because it didn't exist, but as part of my own job to restructure the department of the South African Police Service or the South African Police Department, I then decided to withdraw the police. If the withdrawal of the police consequently led to the demise of the PKTT, that would be the consequences evolving from your own action. But in this context, you would have exercised your action in the context of the authority you enjoy as a Minister of Police, as opposed to a chair of an IMC that in your own admission did not exist. So I hope you are able to understand where we are coming from and the difficulty we see with the way in which, the way in which you exercise your own logic in deciding for the entire committee, while you, as the then chair of that committee, had ceased to exist when it was not re-established by the cabinet.
I understand. There is the IMC, then the IMC doesn't get continued with or re-established for the 7th administration. I no longer am chair of that. I'm now Minister of Police. Now, I then say, I would want to disestablish this, or I have to disestablish this. And what do I do in this situation? Because of there are this and this and this and this reason. And then we look at the Constitution on what the minister, no longer as chair, we look at and we see there's something called a directive using what now is what was a political intervention now facing me as a member alone. And then I say, okay, because there is this power to do a directive whose content is not necessarily determined, to say is only directive for this, on this and this and this. I then used that particular power as a directive, to direct, to give a directive.
Thanks. Minister, with hindsight.
Let me check. Honorable Chief Whip, are you okay? Are you satisfied?
Just a minor follow-up. I understand.
Let's do this. It will just hold, Honorable Sangwen. The clock has stopped.
Okay.
It will be the Chief Whip, Honorable Malema, and Honorable Ngola. Honorable Minister, the microphone is on your right cheek. If you please make sure that it faces straight to your mouth.
No, thanks, Chair. No, I won't be long. I wanted to check, Minister, just one question only, and you will decide whether you answer it as a yes or no. In your own understanding, can a minister issue a directive that cuts across or beyond the department that a minister leads in terms of its impact?
Now, the National Political Killings Task Team was, for all practical purposes, a structure of police, in essence. But then, because of the needs for interdisciplinary and all of that approach, you then draw other relevant to then assist at official level, officials level now, that's what you're remaining with, who are playing specific roles there. Now, in my view, because this is housed in South African Police Service, I could do that. The resources that were being used there were not basically from SAPS. There may have been other resources used by, for instance, NPA and by others in their roles as they do there, but not as is the case or would be the case in SAPS, because as SAPS, you will have to get members from all over. As SAPS, you would hire accommodation, you would provide cars, you provide all of those things. So it was different from SAPS. And it did have an impact in terms of how you use resources and so on, far, far more than those other departments would have been consulted once you have taken a decision to say, look, we have come across this and deriving from history and all of that. And so my answer to your question is yes, in this instance.
Okay, Honorable Malim.
No, thanks, Chair. Minister, the NPKTT was established in 2018. Which administration is that one, of 2018?
It's the 5th administration.
And then it continued after the elections of 2019.
Yes.
Which takes away the argument that you said they get dissolved automatically once a new administration comes in.
It doesn't necessarily. I haven't checked whether the interministerial committee that had been established in 2018 did get confirmed or endorsed or continued with in 2019. I suppose it happened.
No, Minister, me and you sitting here, and all of us, we know the interministerial committee that was established and came into effect, the NPKTT, July 2018.
Yes.
After that, there's never been any other announcement of re-establishment or anything of that sort. That committee, as it was established, it went on into the 7th administration.
Yes.
And now you're moving away from your argument, which you said earlier, a new administration automatically dissolves the IMC.
No, I'm not saying so. In Cabinet, there could have been a meeting where, at the beginning of 2019, that particular IMC was endorsed. It doesn't mean that each time Cabinet establishes its committees, it will go public and so on, especially if it was endorsed. I would need to check those facts.
So I'm happy that Honorable Sangoni says that's a new evidence that you are presenting to us, because all along we lived under the impression that when a new administration comes in, it's automatic. But then you go on to make another commitment, which I don't think is permissible. Honorable Sangoni says, you say Cabinet might have established certain committees and all of that, and then we'll have to share. Says, no, you must come and share that with us because it's a new thing. But sitting here, don't think you can just share the minutes of the Cabinet, because you are going to commit to bringing the minutes of the Cabinet here, which shows that certain committees were established except this one, and then you are going to come back and say, no, it is not permissible to take out the minutes of the Cabinet. Are you sure you will bring us the minutes of the Cabinet?
Subject to whatever condition, like you are talking about.
So we'll never know, because if you are denied that, then it's clear, we'll never know. Then we are left with one information which is at our disposal. It was established, it became into effect July 2018, and then only got dissolved by yourself, because that's the only evidence and information we have. Apart from what you are saying now as a new evidence, we'll have to rely on what we have. Thanks, Chair.
Do you have any comment, Minister?
No.
Okay. Honorable Ngola.
Covered by the follow-up of the Chief Whip and the sentiments by Honorable Malema, Chair. Thanks.
You proceed, Honorable Sangon.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Minister, I'm sure you're going to hate the word immediately after this session, and I will totally understand you. But in your letter, you said you didn't mean immediately because you asked for a preliminary report by the 20th of January. And you are using that as evidence to demonstrate that you didn't mean immediately. But then the second sentence, or the sentence after immediately, says the final and closing report must be submitted to the minister late January. Now, if your preliminary report is on the 20th of January and your final and closing report is late January, that's less than 10 days, 11 days. How can that not be immediate?
Well, it cannot be immediate because if you mention immediate and you cut out preliminary report, which is on the 20th of January, the following year, then immediate remains alone. If you also don't include end of the month, the meeting that takes decisions in the department, you don't count it. If I had not written those two, then we'd be discussing something else and totally different from when you include them. Because when you include them, they give you the context. Whether it was feasible to write a report after the preliminary report and then a closing report, it's different. That would be operational. The National Commissioner would have come, would have said, as would have happened throughout the period, Minister, I need 2 more weeks. Minister, I need this. It was happening all the time. So these were indicators in terms of how we should proceed, not the actual.
Thanks, Mr. Honorable Malema says yesterday, if somebody says stop a car immediately, you don't expect them to stop it next week. Ne? But would I be correct to say that your expectation was that by the end of January, this team must be shut down? Because when you say final and closing, it means that you are giving them January, 20th of January, they must say this is how far we are, and then end of January, they must have completed. So it was immediate from the point that you instructed them, and by the end of the month, within 30 days, they were supposed to be done. Is that correct, Minister?
That is correct, but subject to the managerial aspects arising from the preliminary report, arising from any other later report.
Okay. I won't ask you, Minister, because we've already asked some of the generals, but I think 30 days is a very short time, you know, to shut down something of that nature without putting in place plans. But I think your response would probably be that it's operational. But I do want to say that that is the basis, I believe, of you being accused of defeating the ends of justice. Because to say in 30 days with all of these dockets in place, investigations undergoing, end of January, this thing must be shut down. I don't know if you want to make a comment on them, Minister?
I do want to make a comment. The directive didn't have anything to do with dockets. Dockets were not part of the directive. In the preliminary report, in the final report, or discussions thereof, then the issue of dockets would have come in, and then management comes and say, this is how we would then manage dockets. Common sense tells you that if there would have been a case or cases in court, the directive was not saying withdraw those cases just because you are closing. No, it doesn't. If you were chasing after a particular criminal, it didn't mean that. But as another example, you wouldn't. There were officers from other provinces. It also didn't mean that, or it wouldn't have meant that you tell them pack and go and just like that. Because ordinarily, in terms of simple logic, that would not have been literally practical. But there are many instances where the executive would take a decision. Maybe, let's just say, not in a hasty fashion as this one may look like. But as the executive, you do say, let's do this in 6 months, let's do this in 3 months. If you're an executive and you don't do that, I would say, I wish you good luck. I would still want to see such a person, how you work and how you get your things delivered. But then I gave that indication. But you always know, you always without any error, that the executive management would vary whatever you say, and then you then move along. It's known.
No, thank you, Minister. Minister, what level of detail do you get briefed on when it comes to...
Just hold Honorable Sangoni, Honorable Malema.
Sorry, Honorable Sangoni, the chair is not looking at us, so that's why I'm screaming. Minister, we really have to take this process very serious. You can't say stop immediately, stop end of January. Doesn't mean if you are taking matters to court, you'll have to stop. It doesn't mean if you are chasing criminals, you'll have to stop. But what is the job of this team? Because its job is to take matters to court, is to chase criminals. So when you say if you are chasing a criminal, it didn't mean they must stop chasing criminals immediately. If they are taking matters to court, it doesn't mean they must stop taking matters to court immediately. So what was immediately going to stop? Because that is at the core of their work.
Now, the question and the answer arose in a context of dockets. When you wind down, even in December, as was the proposal from the National Commissioner, there would have been a case in court 5 years, for 10 years. Now, you would plan in your wind-up report a provision for that. So it's not just the two, which is the work of the National Political Killings Task Team. It's all embracing other aspects. She raised the question on dockets, and I said it was not in the, because that's not my terrain as minister. It was not in the directive. It would come with the National Commissioner, and it was left out. And therefore, they would, for instance, say, well, this is how we will close, if that would have been the decision or that they arrive at. But this is how we'll manage the dockets for the next 10 years or for the next 5 years. When you hear matters around dockets and so on, it was in that score that what are we going to do with ongoing investigations? No, transfer them to the organized crime unit in KZN or serious and violent crimes in KZN, so that they continue to investigate what was being investigated by the other team.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Member. Honorable Sangoni, may we proceed?
Thank you very much, Chair. Minister, you've already said that the letters and things that were written by Professor Mary de Haas only formed part of what you called the collective weight of your decision. But did you get any of these investigated? What Mary de Haas would have raised?
Well, Mary de Haas's matters were not only raised with me, they were raised with the National Commission as well. They were raised with the Portfolio Committee. I had a discussion with the National Commissioner and got his impression about what Mary DeHaas was saying. Lastly, National Commissioner was saying, those matters we have looked at and found that there's a problem with this, there's a problem. Lastly saying, they are not, those matters are not as she raises them. I was satisfied with that at that time because I wasn't looking at any other thing. I just wanted to get his impression about this if he had been conducted by Mary DeHaas. So I then left that and moved forward with that kind of response. So I wouldn't say they were investigated by me, but the impression that I got from the National Commissioner was that indeed those matters were looked at by police.
Okay, Minister, on the basis of that response then, it doesn't make sense to me why you would then include them as part of the issues that you considered to be underpinning your reason. Because if I heard you correctly, you're saying you raised these matters with the National Commissioner, he dismissed them, you were comfortable with that. But we've got pages and pages of Mary DeHaas here, so why would you then have them as part of the reasons why you disbanded the PKTT?
Now, they exist. Those matters exist. I think I last got the letter, I don't know whether it was October or what. So I was putting them as some of the things that I considered. I didn't ask for a report from the National Commissioner to say, give me a written report on your investigation on matters that Mary DeHaas had raised. I just took it, I took him for his word. But here, the intention was to say, there is an indication of some problems. I could have added that I asked the National Commissioner and it dismissed them and so on, but that was not the intention. It was merely to say there are these matters, whether they are current or not current, but I did consider those matters.
Okay, why I was asking about Mary DeHaas is that in paragraph 93, DeHaas says that the task team achieved virtually nothing in 6 years except to cover up for politicians. Now, when you spoke to the National Commissioner or in your own investigations, did you find out who these politicians the task team is covering up for?
Not really.
Would it be something that is being looked at? Because it's quite a heavy statement and it speaks to issues of political interference in the work of the PKTT. Would the Minister not think that that's something that you need to follow?
Well, I read the whole letter, the letter as a whole, and I could see that it has got various matters and didn't really go to each matter per se. And I did say that earlier, I didn't necessarily want to put that as the only weight or the only issue. I just took them as a collective, those issues that she was raising, that she is complaining about various matters, not necessarily one by one, necessarily, but I still took them on board when I, especially having not gone into all of them myself. So I said maybe I should just flag these matters as matters of concern, but I knew that these are not the only ones.
What has been your experience, Minister, of political interference in the subs? I mean, you've been there for a year now. Is there political interference that you are aware of in the functioning of the subs in particular, but maybe the criminal justice system as a whole?
I listened very carefully to General Mkhwanazi when he was making examples of what he views as political interference. Number one, he used a case where I called a district commissioner somewhere in KZN for some information. And then he said, this is one instance for political interference. What actually was happening there, for your benefit, I was driving to a funeral of one councillor that had been murdered. Now, when I got closer to the marquee where the gathering was, I checked my notes, and my notes didn't include whether those who had been apprehended were still in with the police or they had been bailed out. So I just needed that when I addressed mourners. And so I called one official that I was with who was already there to say, just get me the number of the district commissioner. Got me the number and I phoned. Bail or no bail, currently. And then he told me that no, they're still inside, and I think we had some small conversation.
I'm sorry, Minister. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I'm also looking at time.
Okay.
I hear you explaining that one case, but maybe a direct question is, are you interfering generally in the work of the SAPS? Are any of your colleagues and comrades interfering in the work of the SAPS? And I remind you, you are under oath, Minister. We really need to understand, are the police being hampered from doing their job because of political interference?
To be honest, I know of no instance that I could be accused of interfering, political interference for. And so it sounded very strange when I heard that, and I couldn't recall and whatever instance, but whatever may have happened before, I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, because I'm currently there, I couldn't recall any instance. I listened to the instances that he was talking about, and I don't agree that that constitutes political interference.
Thanks, Minister. So in your opinion then, what is at the center of these divisions amongst the higher echelons within SAPS? And outside of calling that peacemaking meeting, what have you sought to do about these divisions within the leadership of the SAPS?
These divisions seem to be rooted in some past, if you look at them, if you listen to them. So when I came there, they were already there. Let me make an example. National Commissioner and Head of Crime Intelligence come to brief me, high level, and make reference to General Khan that they are investigating him, they are at an advanced stage, and they have an intention of arresting him. And I respond by saying, you have my support. Then, I think a few weeks later, they then put something called expeditious kind of process to deal with him internally. Now, he then takes SAPS to court. He wins in court. So there's now no expeditious process. They then take to internal process, and he undergoes that, and he wins the case. Now, when he wins, it means he has won both cases that were at an advanced stage for him to get arrested. Now, I didn't understand that to say so, because I had asked the day before the matter was going to go to court, are we confident that there is a case? I was just asking because I had not been aware that I had been cited as a respondent #1. So I only became aware on the day before. So then there was also a rumor that I would want General Khumalo removed as head of crime intelligence and Khan being put there. And this is what I discussed with National Commissioner. National Commissioner, those rumors are not based on anything that is me. That would have, so you could see that it's a reflection of some of the things that are happening within the upper echelons of police. The root causes of which I wouldn't know, except that they are sort of oldish and they were there. And
Have you tried to fix them, though, as the leader of the SAPS?
as said yesterday, first thing I started with was to assure the National Commissioner that he has my support. And I remember at some point, Deputy Minister saying, you have now said enough of you having confidence to the National Commissioner, because in any major function, I would say I have confidence to the National Commissioner. So my calculation was that once the National Commissioner is confident that it's not a question of a new minister coming in and wanting him removed. I have confidence. I even told him that I haven't even checked when your term expires, and that was true. I had not operationalized it in my mind. And so I was making it easy for him to feel free. And my calculation was that National Commissioner felt comfortable and were working together. Then the next thing was to say there's a problem between him and Sibia. And then I called a meeting. My other step was then there's a problem between Sibia and one provincial commissioner. And then we said, I was intending to call a meeting between Sibia, who was kind of a common factor, with Khumalo, to say, what's the problem between yourselves? Because you are now hampering and disturbing the flow of work of police. Now, that I had not had the opportunity for. I don't think that they have real fundamental things like this one was trying to remove my head and I dug a big bullet, and so I don't like him, and so on and so on. I think over time, things have accumulated among them of one way or the other, and they are in this state of affairs, which is really very, very, very worrying, to say the least.
Okay, before I move on to my last and final issues that I want to raise, Minister, what did you think that day when you saw Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi addressing that media briefing? What went through your mind? Did you think that the nation had failed, you had failed? What went through your mind?
Even though I didn't see him on the day, because I was busy elsewhere, I only saw that afterwards. My first reaction was, what has happened? And then my mind raced back to fight back. Is it fight back? Is it taking this shape? But I couldn't help but recall that there had been that mention of a fight back. Now later, when General Khumalo got arrested together with other people, then there was also another expression, the gloves are off, that I must be told that gloves are off. And I had not arrested Khumalo and other officers. They had been, but the word was, tell minister to prevent the arrest of Khumalo, which told me that General Mkhwanazi got or became aware before they actually got arrested. I was in Cape Town. So get minister to stop the arrest before the arrest happened. And then when that message didn't come, because he spoke to the chief of staff who was getting out of Cape Town, and he told that person, no, let's talk when I arrive in Johannesburg. And when he arrived in Johannesburg, that person who had been sent by General Mkhwanazi, as alleged, then calls chief of staff to say, General Mkhwanazi says, leave it, because General Khumalo has been arrested. And he said, you must tell minister gloves are off. So I'm looking at these things that are happening, through the lens of those two expressions, and in between a lot of other things. And I'm looking at that as something that had an impact in changing the mind of the National Commissioner, who even went to court to say he thinks that, or in a sworn affidavit, that he has no problem with the directives and so on, but the how part, and he wrote it down in black and white, which is further evidence that he had no problem and so on. He would then turn later when he went to the commission and for the first time clarifying where he stands and so on.
Okay. Thanks, Minister. Just my last few questions. You spoke about the Chief of Staff now. Minister, what framework demands that when you're hiring a Chief of Staff, you have a panel of interviewers, firstly? And secondly, who were on the list of other candidates that you mentioned that this panel was looking at?
I was meant to come with how, I don't know whether I got it. Yeah, how I rather read that to say this is the standing practice, and then I'll come. Sometimes there's compliance, sometimes there's no compliance. I'm finding it.
Okay, while he's still looking at that, sorry, Minister, we'll come back to it as soon as you get it. So, Chief of Staff has got a BTEC in policing and a diploma or so. The position of Chief of Staff is at a level 14, a Chief Director in the Public Service, Major General in the SAPS. The minimum requirement for a Chief Director is an NQF level 8, which is a honors degree. So does the BTEC equate to a NQF level 8?
It would be honors and or. Then they will put other things.
But does the BTEC equate to the NQF level 8?
No, it's 7. But if you have a diploma or diplomas, then it...
Minister Susqat, is it not NQF level 8? Then if you have anything else, but for the door to be opened, it has to be a NQF level 8.
For sure. Let me see what happened. But there are specifications. But those specifications, I know that if you have other things, it happens that way.
Okay, maybe, I don't know if your legal counsel would either have a job description or an advert for a level 14.
Yes, I'm saying this because in many instances it has happened that a person doesn't have an honors degree but has a junior degree plus other things that when when SACA investigates or go through your qualifications as a whole, they peg you at a required NQF and they say you qualify for that. It has happened that way.
Okay, Minister, you were Minister of Public Service and Administration, so I'll take your word for it, but I have never seen it in practice. Otherwise, many people would not have studied if we could peg to get to NQF level 8. I'm not sure if you've got that information, Minister.
I don't know. I didn't.
Honorable Sangon.
Yes.
Your time is no more.
Yes, the Chief Whip has said that he's taking over in 5 minutes. My last issue, it is my last issue. My last issue, Minister, is on the signal messages that are in this document. When the Minister was testifying and he was asked about this message on page 79, which says that, Minister, I've got the case number in the judgment. Now we've got something proven by the court. This is a matter which either Sibia or the Minister can charge Khumalo with and apply Rule 9 of the disciplinary hearing. You testified, Minister, that you didn't know what he was talking about, so you didn't pay attention to it. But this is a big thing for you not to pay attention to it. When Brown Mokhotsi says, I've got something that you or Sibia can use to charge Kumalo, and he tells you what to do. How could you not seek clarity on this thing? Why would you just leave it? And then why would he refer to the two of you as a collective we? Minister?
In the first place, there's no minister who would have charged Kumalo. No such a thing. And I doubt if the Deputy National Commissioner would have done that. And both of us, the Minister and the Deputy National Commissioner, is just a no. There's no such a procedure in the first place. He can only be charged by the National Commissioner or from outside. Now, when it came as one thunderous thing, but about nothing. So I disregarded that on that score, that I didn't understand the meaning thereof. But knowing that I had received more or less other messages of that nature, including from Mkhotsi, which you would struggle to have a meaningful. So I couldn't pursue that, but at least I knew that I had no such intention, because I mentioned there, and there's no such. So sometimes you just say, let me go on with my work, because there's no such. You are sure about that.
Okay, Minister, so you did testify that you wouldn't necessarily discuss issues of SAPS with Mr. Mkhotsi, but you can tell that from the message he's deep within the issues of SAPS. Whether he knows processes or doesn't, he's actively working for something, whatever it is in SAPS. Then he goes on in that other page where he says they can't get anything on the Phoenix saga. Then he talks to you about people who are off the funding inverted commas, 20. And this guy has a 3 billion rand contact with SAPS. So he's also talking about setting up that meeting between Deputy National Commissioner and Chief of Staff. This doesn't sound like somebody who was not deeply involved in the issues of SAPS, Minister, and he's writing to you about them.
Let me just...
what would you do when he does things like this?
Let me talk about 3 billion, tender. I didn't even know, up to date, I don't even know what that tender is, what it is all about. I didn't know. One thing that I noted there that we had spoken about with him was the Phoenix thing, where he had called me and alleged that there was an investigation on Phoenix, which Phoenix is a wholesale in KZN. So he said there is somebody who is investigating and wanting to trump up some link or some trumped up links between me and Phoenix, and I didn't even know what that thing was about. And I said, you will tell me when you know something better about it. We were on the phone. So when it returned in the manner that it returned, I assumed that it refers to that. But the 3 billion tender, I didn't know. I didn't even phone him back, nor did I respond, because I just got lost what that thing was all about, let alone that I have nothing to do with tenders and subs, except in an instance where, like the one of 360, where I came across something that attracted me to make an inquiry with the National Commissioner.
Okay. Just to correct you, you did respond to that message, Minister, but it's cut off. That's the one Honorable Wessels was referring to yesterday, where you said, Minister, this is the last question. I'm going to close my laptop. I just need to read this to you. So you said since the 6th of July, you've been smelling, looking, everything, General Mkhwanazi. You addressed a meeting of the ANC recently, outside the scope of terms of reference, I know. But I was very interested in what you said. And because you were wearing General Mkhwanazi, I wondered if this had anything to do with the current saga. There you said, uma uguti wenze iphutha, ulenze iphutha ngoba phela umuntu ngumuntu. Ungasabi ukwenza iphutha, ulenze nje. Futhi uma bekugxeka bavumele. Do you remember you talking about that?
Yes, I remember
What
that.
mistake did you, if you were talking about yourself, Minister, feel that you made there? I mean, you go on, you know what you said,
Yes.
right? So what is it that you were addressing? What mistake, and from this experience, do you have any lessons that you think you've learned?
I wasn't addressing me at all on that day. I was addressing the chair of the task team in the region where I come from, Mr. Elfas Mbat, saying, you have been appointed to chair the region here. As you work, you may make some mistakes, but even when you are criticized, go on, because...
So it was not about you making mistakes?
No, not at all. I saw some tweets and something like that on social media. It had nothing to do with me. I was almost facing Mbata.
Have you made any mistakes, Minister, and do you think there's any lessons you need to learn from this?
Yes, there would be mistakes. No one is perfect. I know that, and me too. I'm not perfect, but I always make an effort not to make mistakes. But even in that, but when I realize that I've made a mistake, I try by all means first to admit that I made an error and then correct whatever error I would have made.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. Chief Whip, the honorable member has informed me that your time is indivisible. So your time is going to expire at 20 minutes after 16 hours. So let me just take some 10 seconds and recognize Honorable Mani from the MKP. If you can please raise your hand. Thank you so much. Honorable Nana from the DA. Thank you so much, honorable members. Chief Whip, you may proceed.
No, thanks, Chair. I think, Minister, I think the first thing that I just want to bring your attention to, and you don't have to go and read because I will quote and give you the context. On your affidavit, which you presented to us, paragraph 27 and paragraph 37. Paragraph 27 talks about the fact that the extension of the lifespan of the PKTT was done on the basis of a consultation between the minister and the National Commissioner. And I would imagine that would be a meaningful consultation, meaning a direct consultation that would have taken place. Now, on paragraph 37, you are then saying that you are bringing to our attention, actually, that both Generals Masemula and Mukwanas, in your own words, you are saying they failed to produce the evidence of the extension, because the last extension that took place was before the resignation of the then National Commissioner General Sithole. Now my question is, in terms of that position, Minister, do you have any evidence which confirms that indeed there was no consultation?
Rather that there was no extension.
Sorry, yeah. No, let me explain why I'm putting it this way. Remember, your contention is that throughout the period after General Sithole departed, the two generals who came before us were unable to provide evidence that the sustenance of the PKTT was as a consequence of a confirmed consultation between the National Commissioner and the Minister. That would be Minister Pegicel in this case. Now my question is, do you have evidence that actually there wasn't any consultation? Remember, they didn't give us evidence that there was a consultation according to your contention. But will you be in the position to give us evidence contrary? That actually here is the evidence. There was never a consultation.
I'm trying to think what form other than that it's not there. Maybe some investigation, because you can have it in concretely when it is there, but when it is not there, it will be difficult to say here is evidence other than via an investigation within the department to say. But on my check, I was satisfied that none exists.
Okay. Now, in the normal course of events, would that consultation only be limited to a written and signed document between the minister and the national commissioner, or it might also include a conversation between the two?
I would basically argue that it would have been written based on information that I got, that it was written, but I can't deny that it may have taken whatever other form, if it did.
Okay.
But in this instance,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
it was
no.
based on written.
Okay. No, thanks, Minister. I was asking that question because I thought, because even when General Stolle left and General Masemula took over, I suppose that's how they followed each other, or whatever the sequence might have been. But even as he has departed, the evidence exists that beyond his tenure, meetings of the IMC did take place and reports were taken to cabinet.
Yeah.
Which may therefore justify a conclusion that in whatever form it may have taken, a green light was given by both the then Minister Cele and the National Commissioner for the PKTT to be extended. So that is the point that I wanted to make. You may want to comment on it.
Yes, it's not just the reason why I was doubting verbal, it was because it has to be in the form of an assessment written down, as opposed to a request for money. There's a distinction. That's why the CFO in 2024 March talks about the need for a work study if the National Political Killings Task Team is to be drafted into the organogram. It suggests that there would have been a work study. It can't be verbal. And such a work study signed and would then extend the term, and then it would release money, as opposed to the process going the other way around. So I doubt that you could do it verbally, both the assessment and signing for the extension.
So in that context, Minister, shouldn't we then come to the conclusion that if there was an expectation that a meaningful consultation will occur between the Minister and the National Commissioner to extend, that therefore a meaningful consultation would also be rationally expected between the Minister and the National Commissioner to discontinue?
It would be expected.
It would be expected.
I think so, if I hear you well.
Okay. But in this case, we can conclude that because if the way in which you would expect it would be in a written form, in some form of an assessment, remember, between the big chiefs, the Minister and the National Commission.
Yes.
Would I be wrong then to conclude that that did not meaningfully happen between the Minister Mchunu and General Masemula in the case of a discontinuity?
That there was no extension.
Meaningful consultation between the two chiefs that, okay, we're discontinuing.
No, I have explained that I didn't consult per se on face-to-face or in writing, but there were meetings on factors. I singled out one factor that I had a problem with. It is the category of people who came to report certain things, certain practices. And I felt that because of this factor, I wouldn't be able to, I would be able to rely on it to effect the directive. And then we will have discussions later, but I took that as risky and serious, and that I wouldn't be able to go to anyone and talk to them on this particular matter.
Okay.
But
Now,
others, I would want to you to underline that there have been processes, there have been everything, but not on the actual directive to disestablish.
Now, in your response to a question from the senior counsel, including from some of my colleagues, Minister, you made references to the fact that you had directed the Chief of Staff to send the letter to the acting commissioner and the national commissioner.
Yes.
And then he decided, without your direction, to send it to the PAs of other generals. And I want to say, would the PAs of other generals include the PA of General B?
I can't recall specifically, but I do recall him indicating that he sent to some PAs. I can't recall whether he did it to all deputy national commissioners.
Okay. I'm asking this question, and I really would not hold you accountable for that, because that was a person acting outside your instruction. But I'm asking this question because a particular web has been created of Mohoti, Matlala, Sbiya, and I will explain later on why that web becomes a matter of concern to us, and his conduct to decide that beyond what the minister has asked me to do, I'm also sending to all others. Because when you read that web, it becomes, it's very difficult to believe that he would have excluded the PA of General B.
Yes.
And it's very easy to conclude that the inclusion of General B as PA may very well be informed by the fact that he had an interest for Sbiya to act faster without being delayed by anybody else above Sbiya. I mean, that's not your question. It's a question we will pose to him, given the deductions that we can make when we look at the sequence of events after that. But I'm not posing it to you. And then when you were responding to Honorable Malema on the Mohoti question, of course, you referred to the character that you did not know, and we explained what you explained. I don't want to get into details about what exactly did you say. Now, he appears to be very central to the crisis we're handling, in one way or the other. Will there be a way in which this will have an impact in your relationship with him? Will it define the relationship in any way? You don't have to tell me in what way, but given what has happened now, and here is this correct, do you think that is going to redefine the way in which you related to him?
Without it being central, and my view is that it is not central, but your second question, definitely it would have to it will have to affect the relationship. Why? Because I related to him as an ordinary comrade, just like I do to other comrades, many comrades. And then I relate to all of them without asking them many questions. Like when I heard that he may have had his membership expired, I recall, I never asked him whether your card is current. And it happened so with other comrades. So I would say that I just took it as a comrade whenever we talk and relate. It's only now that I get to know other things that, oh, there's this as well. So he talks to so-and-so, he talks to so-and-so, all these people that are being revealed in the Madlanga Commission, which I had no information about. The first time I sort of blew my nose was when somebody said, this guy seems to be talking about you dropping your name, and so on. It was sometime this year, to which I reacted by calling him to say, I'm getting information that you dropped my name where you are and all of that, which he denied. And I had no way of, confronting him at that time to say, but here and so on. But it will definitely redefine the relationship. It will have to redefine.
Okay, thanks. Now, when you were responding to Honorable Nomvalo, I think he was asking you a question in relation to how you gathered together the information which help you to come to a conclusion. Some of it was from the public, others, so it came from different centers or different platforms.
Yes.
Now, given what I would say, Minister, is an established fact, at least in my own assessment, that there's been a huge public condemnation of this decision. Now, the decision I'm talking about is a decision to de-establish the National Political Killing Task Team. I may be wrong, but my own assessment is that there's been a huge public condemnation. And of course, it's informed by many things, some of which I will come to it later on. Would you say that had you been alive to all that you know today, you could have taken a different decision?
I would specifically say I would have taken the same decision, but the form would have been different. Like I said yesterday, I said when somebody was asking me, given what has happened, whether I would find a different approach to this, whether I would do it differently. I said yes, I would do, now that all these things, I would do it differently. Now, I'm saying the same thing. The decision would have needed to be taken, Honorable Mpemba, based on, it's even if you try to duck it, you try to avoid it, you would have needed to take a decision of this nature at some point, purely based on how you use money that is available, and ask yourself whether the way we are using money currently in subs is optimal, is in line with the wish to protect everybody, not only in KZN, but in the country. Is it optimal use? And also given the fact that you now have the new structure, which does everything that the National Political Killings Task Team is meant to do, and so on. So you would have had to take the decision, but maybe the form that it would take, you definitely would have needed, if you were aware, if I was aware, I would have taken, it would have taken a different form, the same decision.
On paragraph 84 of your affidavit, Minister, you are referring to the meeting that took place on the 21st of November. And that is a meeting of the minister and his two deputy ministers. And you are very particular that that meeting, among its own part of its decisions, was that the minister must have a meeting with the National Commissioner.
Yes,
There was a web of, a lot of allegations that were there, and the direction was that the minister must meet with the National Commission. Now, before you answer that, on the 22nd, there's another meeting that takes place, which is not a meeting of the minister and the National Commission, but it's all other people who are there. Was the meeting of the 22nd already planned when you went to the meeting of the 21st?
Yes, because we can't, we couldn't call a meeting in a day. It was already planned. It was already in our plans. I think we had a little chat about that even on the 21st. But yes, it was already planned. But on the first question, the actual resolution was that no, engage the National Commissioner, of course, in the meeting. That was how we framed it.
Don't you think that maybe if you had engaged the National Commissioner in a way that I think you were directed by your meeting with your colleagues, as opposed to engaging him in a bigger meeting with everybody else on the 22nd, you would have understood each other very well? And I'm asking that in the context of the fact that the National Commissioner came to you a month earlier, in October, and raised concerns about some of his colleagues, including his deputy, General Sbia. Now, you now meet on the 21st of November, again on the 22nd. And we got a sense that on the 22nd, that is where a discussion took place about challenges facing the organization. But don't you think that a one-on-one with him to go deeper on these matters would have been helpful as opposed to the 22nd meeting?
They perhaps would, but on the 22nd, I still had no idea how, what the engagement would need to take, what form it would need to take, because we had just met the previous day. So I was beginning to think, what would be the issues, what would be the approach, and so on, and I was still way before I could settle with anything that would make sense to me at that particular time. But theoretically, had something settled already to me, definitely I see that would have been the case, assisted, yes.
I'm asking that, Minister, because I mean, you sit with your deputies, and that's a political leadership of the department. And I imagine that when you were looking at these allegations, you were not looking at them in general. There may have been some general things, but you would be particularly concerned about their evolution. Maybe the allegations now, they might tomorrow evolve to be the truth. So now you are the political head, you are sitting with your colleagues, and they are saying, please go and engage the chief of the police, because we can all see these things are going to lead into a major national crisis if they remain unattended. So that is why I was raising this question, because I was worried that it seems like you place less value to that conversation, and yet the October meeting, you met with him and he raised concerns himself about some of his colleagues.
Yeah, the meeting of the 22nd, our minds were made up for raising other issues which were different from this one, and they were specific. I was going to raise as I did, the murder rate, the drugs and firearms, and then GBVNF. So we're like made up for that, even on the agenda and every other thing. But had it not been maybe for that, I continue to agree with you that you would have taken a step maybe much earlier. It would have helped, but it wasn't to be one, because I had not made up my mind, not because I put less value, not at all. I allowed it to sink, to occupy my mind going forward, and it did for some time though, because I was saying, if I were to engage, what form, what issues? And there were already issues on the basket. We were going for the workshop, 3-day workshop, and that included equity matters between different units and better conditions. So that was already occupying our mind at the summit later. But I had this thing that there are serious matters that we have to discuss, and I wanted to tackle those at the beginning of the year.
No, thanks, Minister. In paragraph 140 of your statement, paragraph 140, you make reference to the role of crime intelligence and the killing of Mr. Makaka. What is the issue there? Would you like to share that with us, or it's a matter that...
Well, it's basically something that some of the people that I say contacted me wanted to talk about. Yes, maybe I could put it at that, which I then said, I would want these people or that person to come in person wherever, which I had no idea that time what form it would take. That's why at the beginning of the year, should it be a ministerial inquiry? I had that. That's why I even had a discussion with Pikoli and so on. But we had not settled, we didn't settle on that idea, but there was an idea that there should be a platform of sorts for such people and allegations of that nature.
Okay. In your affidavit, paragraph 158, you refer to a recruitment of intelligence to strengthen a certain paramilitary structure in KZN. What is that?
Well, it's in the context of the need which was expressed via the directive which I was meant to sit with the National Commissioner on. And it's one of the issues that I intended originally to have a discussion on with the National Commissioner, among others, as we sit and discuss what recruitment, what form it should take, what are the other things that we should bear in mind. I had picked up information that there were such intentions in KZN. I wouldn't be able to talk in details, but somehow these would also rely on some of our structures as those get built. In other words, they would exploit any weakness and take any possibility as those paramilitary structures get established on the site.
Well, are you comfortable to share more on that? Because I'm asking because what you are saying in your affidavit is that this paramilitary structure, which was being organized or being set up in KZN, had its own ambition. Now, I don't know whether the ambition are of the structure or the creator, and whether the structure is in existence already, or you were picking up information that it was about to be. Because, but your statement says to strengthen the paramilitary structure in KZN. So I would imagine strengthening means it's existing already.
Existing,
and it has ambitions.
Existing in some form, but there was that, according to what I got, and the ambition is that of those who were said to be behind such structures.
But would this not be the PKTT?
Well, PKTT is a political party.
No, I'm saying when you talk about this structure, you are not referring to the National Political Killing Task Team.
Oh, I thought my mind is on something else. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but it might.
Well, I'm sure if any matter would have been gone into, if such a fact would turn out to be true, then it would be. But from the legal that I got, it just came in that form that some paramilitary is in the formation, strengthening, and so on.
Were you given a sense by the people who shared that information with you? Were you given a sense of the nature of the relationship between the PKTT and the paramilitary structure?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Okay. I hope that matter, Minister, will have to be followed very urgently, given the fact that, as you know, you know where we come from in KZN. I don't have to educate you or anyone about it. And of course, if at your level, there's an observation of a structure like that being in existence and with its own ambitions, which I would imagine are devoid from the ambition of the South African security forces, that does present a particular threat.
I agree with you fully.
Thank you. And then, Minister, the meeting that was, I think you've dealt with this question at a different level, about the meeting that was requested by General Mchunu, in which he wanted to attend with all these other people, including Mr. Brown Mohotsi, who is not a part of the organization. Now, I know you responded why you did not grant that meeting, and you explained, and you had a plan that you were also having an intention at some point to have a one-on-one with General Mchunu.
Yes.
So that he can have an opportunity to express himself and you can understand each other.
Yes.
But some of the issues that resulted in you not taking that direction, and this may not be exhaustive, but some of those issues was the level of anger on his part and the threat that he meted against you. What would you say to a South African that is sitting somewhere and saying, in that environment, was it not the case that the individual interest or circumstances of the minister, our minister, remember this is our minister, all of us as South Africans, were now taking precedence? They were taking precedence over national interest. Because here is a very senior general. I'm saying senior because it's a provincial commissioner, and he says, among other things, when he's asking for a meeting, besides his family issues and what, but he begins by talking about internal challenges in the organization. Now, we are sitting there as a South African, you hear that part of the reason that the minister could not meet with this general were around the question of the threat and the anger of the general. How would you respond to this South African who say, maybe at that moment, the individual interests of the minister were taking precedence over our national interest?
Not really, because I decided that the meeting would rather take a different form. Let me start with a meeting of General Masimula and General Sibia. Let me then go to the meeting with General Sibia and General Mchunu, which were not my interests, beyond that of the nation. So I decided a different angle, or to start the meeting in a different way. These other ones, his posture after, as a reaction to my directives, was not uppermost at that time, but they were in the environment, as I said before. But the main thing was, so General Mkhwanazi is talking about internal issues. He's mentioning these people. Perhaps I should start with the two whose matters are kind of buzzing in subs at head office from where I sat, so that we move and so on, intensify these interactions. If there are problems, let's resolve. At some point I said to National Commissioner, could he give me an opportunity to resolve or to approach General Sibia on his own matters as alleged and so on. So I was very keen to actually not leave anything, but in the context of that request, but also in my own right, because I was sensing that there is a certain level of turmoil. So never did that happen, or nearly happen, that I had personal interests on the matter. I was just putting it aside, looking at it, how it would develop, that kind of reaction. And we're going on to work with my side on that, on the side.
Now, the Minister, would you agree with me when I say the confidence of the population on the work of the South African Police Service should also manifest itself in one way or the other, to the extent to which they also express the confidence in the leadership of that South African Police Service?
It's basically one basket, because they are meant. They expect that the minister would make efforts to raise the bar or raise confidence of South Africans to law enforcement in one way or the other, where it is to a higher level and so on. So it's somehow tied. It's a chain in a way.
Okay. Now, how do you think South Africans have interpreted your intervention when you said here in this ad hoc committee, for a certain matter, you are pursuing a private investigation as a Minister of Police? What message do you think that is likely to communicate to the Republic?
Well, it's the nature of what I'm doing, and I take it that there would be understanding. I can't go to a police station and say I'm opening a case against so and so, because that is not what I have. I don't have a case against the individual that I can open a case against. But it does need to be followed up in a particular way. So I wouldn't expect any confusion on that. There are matters for which you can't go to a police station, but matters though that you have can't go to a police station because there's no case to register at that point. In other words, there's no obvious wrongdoing, but you are gathering information and so on. So I take it that there would be clear understanding of that.
Honorable Sangoni.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, just to follow up. I'm sorry, Chief Whip. Minister, you complained at length about General Mkhwanazi. What's the word I'm looking for? Going out to look for a case about you post facto. You said he has no case, he can't prove corruption, and he's going to look for it. How is what you are saying now different? You are the Minister of Police. You're supposed to have confidence in the police. If there's things that you're unhappy with, you report them to the police because there's a case. But you're saying you're going after someone, you don't have enough information, you've hired a private investigator. How does that differ from what General Mkhwanazi did to you or is doing to you?
No, it's different. Here, you've got a certain chain of activities that have emerged about, and they are aligned with a particular individual. Now, I then get a warning that so-and-so gets to drop your matters or your name here and there and so on. I phone him. And my intention is to talk to him and say, look, I have appointed somebody to look at whatever. I'm not opening a case. I'm just following on that allegation that I picked up, that I was warned about, to say he drops my name, which he denied. Now, when I look at the SMSs that are being spoken about, and if they are true, it does mean that there would be this and that, that it does dropping my name even on those. So it's something that is open that I need to find and so on.
Thank you.
Chief Whip, you may proceed.
Regulation 66 in terms of which you appoint.
Okay, no, thanks, Chair. Let me just give a second to the lawyer still giving some information to the minister. No, I'm not a problem. I just want to be certain that the minister can hear me. I'm not condemning you. You are doing your work, yeah. Now, Minister, maybe let me just share this with you because it was raised earlier on, maybe without it being specific. This issue of how people interpret immediately other people. Let me just share with you what General Sbiya said to us. And he says that at paragraph 46 of his sworn affidavit, he told us that immediately does not mean 6 months or within a month. It means immediately, now. It's written like that in his affidavit. It means immediately, now. And of course, that position, that perspective has to be our understanding of that. In a way, it does coalesce with the understanding of the other two generals, which is Mkhwanazi and Masemula, that the intervention was with immediate effect. You can comment if you want to on this issue, but I'm just making you aware that your subordinates, the recipient of your instruction, if there's one thing that they are converging about to the three generals, the only thing I've heard that these ones are agreeing on is the fact that immediately means now.
I would contest that is their understanding. The first one is that General Masemula, I think he understood it well. It starts on the 3rd. It goes to the 22nd via a letter suggesting a phased approach in terms of managing the implementation of the directive. It goes to the meeting of the 6th, 5th, and then 6th, and then 27th, which had no immediate in that particular context. It was clear that this is his understanding, and I agreed with it. So if he came here to say immediate meant now, I would say immediately that, but that's not your understanding in terms of what you proposed. That's number one. Number two, I wouldn't know what was Sbiya's thinking, because this thing is on two fronts. Immediate means now, but in terms of understanding that a decision has been taken, and then you start processes. But that in actual fact, you could say now, like switch off the light, I would say switch off the light now. You can stand up, and that's not the ordinary. That's not the thinking of an ordinary person in terms of what this thing would mean. Even now, we'll say, when are you going to Johannesburg? You say, I'm going to Johannesburg now, but you are going, the next thing you do, you go and wait in the airport for an hour or two. So I think let's be practical and ordinary and not seek to change the flow of things in the normal life. But when I wrote with a full understanding of what I meant. I'm taking a decision now, but let's meet on the 20th. Let's meet on the 20th, which itself was open. If anybody had a query, would have phoned, would have done all of that. But it's a, so I don't think we need to be fussy and rigid in terms of the meaning of immediate, even though it's applied. It has to be applied, like any other, I would say. And I even went on to say it's not like in a drill. I made an example. You can, so people can argue and so on. Otherwise, but when I wrote, that's what I meant. That's how I saw things. That's why I wrote preliminary report, even though I had said now, but said preliminary report, and I pointed at the 20th, and then later. And I know you don't stick with your dates necessarily like a robot. Sometimes things get postponed and so on. So it was in that context.
Chief Whip, let's just hold it there.
Okay.
I see you are left with very, very few minutes. I see there are 3 hands there. The minutes left are 4 for you, Chief Whip.
No, the 4 minutes is more than enough for me.
Yeah, no, I'm informing you that your time left is 4 minutes. Honorable Skosana, Honorable James, Honorable Ngola.
Thank you, Chair. I thought that the minister by today, you will have accepted, the issue and the meaning that, it's like they are insulting our intelligence. Explaining this issue of immediate as if we don't understand and mhlambe asazi ukuthi immediate usho ini. And this is all, there was an illustration here. If you tell your driver that he must stop the car immediately, your driver will think and stop 100 kilometers away after you told him to stop the car. It can't be. I think, Minister, you must accept that immediate means immediate, not what we are trying to, the way you are responding to us is like we are going around the bush. We understand exactly what immediate means. Please respect us, Minister. Thank you, Chair.
I'm ruling you out because I thought you are asking a clarity-seeking question. Honorable James.
Chairperson, we must be mindful of the fact that there are children watching. And I think it's really, I want to agree with Honorable here. I think it's really insulting our intelligence to be going over this and saying that the word immediately may mean now or later and coming up with all of these examples. Can you not insult us like that? Can we just be clear? There's then a clear language barrier that is then evident in this room that we've been entertaining for the last couple of days, and we've been dragging on issues based on the simple meaning of words. Chair, we cannot continue like this. It takes up so much time. In every engagement with so many of the members, we've had to unpack what the word immediately means, and so many other words. Please protect us from this blatant undermining of our intelligence. Thank you, Chair.
I'm ruling you out of order because it's not a clarity-seeking question. Honorable Ngola.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, the minister in his response to the Chief Whip, he makes mention of the fact that anyone who would have had a problem with the immediate provision in his directive would have extended even a call to him to get some clarity if a need arises. Now, I'm taken aback, Chair, because if that would be a proper or adequate modus operandi, would we be here if the minister had extended a call to General Mkhwanazi when it was reported by his chief of staff that General Mkhwanazi is angry and making threats? The same way he did when he heard that Brown Mohotsi is name dropping him, he extended a call. Would we actually be here had that particular modus operandi operated way before this thing bested in the manner in which it has bested now? Thank you.
Okay. Let's do like this, honorable members. Minister, Honorable Minister, you have given many examples trying to explain the word immediately. And the last examples are the ones that you have just given now. Yes, no, I will come to you. About switching off the lights. Yes. And there are other examples that you have given earlier on, what the word immediately means and what the word immediately does not mean. And I want to plead with you and also plead with you, honorable members. If we make it a habit of this parliament to discuss words like swimming pool, fire pool, immediately, not immediately. We want to make it a habit of this parliament. It's a problem. We are leadership. A swimming pool must stay a swimming pool. And immediately must stay immediately. I don't see us wasting any time, Chief Whip, trying to discuss English words here. It's very clear. So immediately is immediately, we know it, Minister, what it means. It means now. Yes. Yes, it cannot be any other thing, and I just want us to move away from being hostages of semantics. There is an established understanding of what the word means. So we can't be a parliament that is known for what it is not supposed to be. Thank you so much. Honorable Nomvalo, your hand was up.
Yeah, no, on the same issue, Chair, I know that you have closed it. But maybe you are hard on the minister. Maybe he has a source that he uses which describes the word differently. Because dictionaries are used here in South Africa to get a meaning of the word. Dictionaries are used, and the name immediately has been used even by the office of the president to say this decision is effective with immediate effect. Maybe the minister can point us to a source that he is using with a different direction, because I even went to the Oxford Dictionary, I went to Cambridge. The word means now. It doesn't mean anything else. So I was going to ask, where does the minister get that definition from? It's a clarity-seeking question, because it might happen that really he genuinely believes that it doesn't mean now, because there is a source that he uses which describes words. So which source is the minister using to get that definition? Thank you.
Do you agree with my summary, honorable member?
I agree, Chair, but
Yeah, no, we will pass the question, don't worry.
okay.
Honorable Malem.
No, Chair, I want your summary to also apply to the minister. Because we, this side, seem to be understanding immediately to mean now. He's the only one who doesn't understand that. He gives it context of lights and all of that. He keeps on saying other things. So you are ruling, you must be able to communicate even to him or minister. Immediately means now, according to this meeting of ours, as a chair of this meeting.
No, I agree with you.
Yes, it must not only apply to us, and he must shift from wanting to, because it's not semantics. He keeps on speaking about context. When used in a particular context, it will mean something else. But the reality is, it means now, and we are not accepting his explanation and his redefinition of immediately. We are accepting what you are saying, and he needs to live with that. He needs to accept that.
No, I agree with you because I have said it that it must not be a bad precedent for this parliament where every time we have proceedings, South Africans will have to bring their dictionaries along because they know parliament will be arguing if this is immediately or it's hereafter or it's this and that. So, Honorable Minister, we have an established understanding of what the word immediately means. And let us not go back to the past. Let's go ahead with that. Let's proceed with that understanding. That immediately means now. Honorable Nomvalo,
Chair.
Honorable Nomvalo has asked you a question which says maybe you might have consulted other source, and he is interested to know what is the source that would have given you a different understanding of the word.
I wrote immediately. And then I said preliminary report. And then I said UNESCO. Now, I can't say any other thing, but it is the right of the committee to exclude what I included in the letter. I won't contest that because you are the ad hoc committee. I'm not dealing with the meaning of immediate. I'm talking about it as applied in the letter that I wrote. Thank you.
No, honorable members, let's proceed.
Chair.
Hello, Honorable Malem.
Minister, are you accepting the ruling of the chairperson?
Honorable Minister, are you able to respond to the question?
The chair is chairing the meeting. And
Yes. Are you accepting? We said we accept. He even asked us, do you accept my ruling? He asked Honorable Nomvalo if he accepts his ruling. So I'm asking you through the chair, do you accept his ruling?
I feel there is a prejudice I will suffer if I accept it as it is, the ruling. But, and I'm saying I have no problem with the committee deciding. But I feel that we can't exclude these other two words that I included.
Okay, I see Honorable Breitenbach and Honorable Ngola's hands are up.
Thank you, Chair. This point is dead. It has been flogged to death. I kind of wish it was me that had been flogged to death, but it has been flogged to death. We cannot, and neither can you, with the greatest of respect, tell the minister what to say. His evidence is his evidence. His answers are his answers. If you don't like them, you can cross-examine him on them. And if you still don't like that, you can argue it at the end, but we, and neither can you, put words in his mouth. That is just patently wrong and unfair, and I don't know any process that allows it.
Honorable Ngola.
Chair, you unfairly clubbed my question with people who were talking about immediately, and my question was differently packaged on the issue of the modus operandi the minister was suggesting people should have done. But it's fine, maybe the minister can make sentiments on it. But I want to check, Chair, now that this matter is coming to a close, that the minister says there is a context, and the context is that immediately then the 20th. And that is not the context in my understanding.
Yeah, no, I don't want us to debate the matter. I want the minister to respond to that question that you have asked, and we move ahead. You had earlier asked a question. So if we were going to keep on debating immediately on Medelec, I don't think that it's going to help us. Do you allow me to give the minister a chance to respond to the question that you asked?
It's fine, Chair.
You can restate the question so that he remembers what you...
I got it, Chair.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Now, I was at that time merely indicating what could have been the case to clarify whatever, if there was any reason, if there was a reason to clarify it. It's a normal thing that if there's something like an instruction or a letter you don't understand, you can phone, you can ask for a meeting and on the site and so on. Then when you talk about General Mkhonazi, that could have been done as well. I could have lifted the phone and say, I pick up that you are angry, but I didn't choose to do so. I chose to be quiet and silent on the matter and observe what's happening. Thank you.
Yeah, Chief Whip, may you use your last 4 minutes.
You remember my 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. No, thanks, Chair. No, I would stick to that 4 minutes. By the way, the reason I was raising this point, Minister, I know that my colleagues have taken it to a different direction. The reason I was raising it was because I wanted to bring to your attention, to draw your attention to the fact that the subsequent actions in the department following your directive were done on the basis of a particular understanding of what the directive meant. That's all I wanted to say. And I'm not contesting your argument about the context and all that we're saying. I wanted just to draw your attention to the fact that the way in which processes evolved in the department were driven by a particular understanding of the directive. Now, I want to conclude by, I'm just going to read a few things here and then ask the last question, Minister. You don't have to write them, or you can write them, but it's things that, it's just to connect the many dots up to date. The first one is that you wrote a letter on the 31st of December. The second one is that Mr. Nkabinde, without your instruction, shares the letter with all the PAs, which I want to contend it would not have excluded General Sbia until I'm proven otherwise. The third point is that Mokhotsi talks about Matlala, talks to Matlala immediately, following the directive being out. In terms of the evidence that has been shown in the papers presented before us, there's an indication that they, soon after your directive, started to converse over WhatsApp. The fourth point is that Mokhotsi and Sbia often find time to either talk to each other or even to meet. Sometimes they even meet where they were not expecting each other, but Mokhotsi would come across to greet. Number 5 is that Usbiya, after your directive, he immediately directed that Tama dockets must be brought back to the head office. Number 6 is that no work was done on any of those dockets when they were taken back to the head office for that 4 months. And when they were brought back, I think in less than a month after they were brought back, some arrests have taken place. Number 6 or number 7 is that when Mr. Matlala had a problem with his tender, he decided to go to the sub's headquarters or wherever, but to meet General Sbiya when Sbiya was the acting national commissioner. Number 7 is that in July, you issued a statement distancing yourself from Matlala, and then you directed your lawyers, as was, I think, engaged on the input made by Honorable Malema, which resulted in an affidavit or whatever that has happened. Now, here is my question then, Minister. With all these coincidences, that in and of itself present a serious conundrum on the state of the security in our country. These coincidences, all of them. Because from where you are sitting, these things are not coordinated to happen the way they happen, but this is how they happen in terms of the evidence before the people of South Africa. Now, my question is, and this is my last question, obviously. Now, as a cadre of our movement, and I'm using that deliberately, because as you know, I'm the chief whip of the ANC. As a cadre of our movement, how do you intend to restore the public confidence and the trust to the Ministry of Police, to the nation, and lastly, to our movement, given these allegations? Because the web that I've drawn for you, it would be difficult for anyone to disagree that read together, it constitutes a particular and a very serious threat to the legitimacy, not just of the work of the police, the nation, but equally the movement that you come from. Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me leave the first set of things from 31st, all PAs, not because I'm not responding, but saying I recognize them as important, just for the sake of time, leave them. But on dockets, I would recommend that the ad hoc committee gets a full report on the ad hoc committee and the state of dockets. My understanding is that it's not a simple matter of dockets moving from KZN and back and so on. And it's not a simple matter of dockets sitting in Pretoria and then back before we reach a conclusion on the matter. And I would attach a lot of importance that the committee makes an effort to get information. And I did at some point recommend that one of the people who can be an authority in terms of information on this, who handled, as far as I'm concerned, is General Motsipe. I would recommend that the committee makes an effort to provide that time. 2, on the relations between Matlala and Sbiya, I would agree, seeing that Matlala seems to be a person running, I don't know whether this is the only tender he got or the other tenders, that it's not a conduct that inspires confidence, that you have your headquarters where the entrepreneurs just befriend you to a point where such a thing would happen. And it does affect confidence, for instance, to other tenderers or tenderpreneurs and so on, to say, so-and-so is able to run up and down, but I am also a businessman, I'm not able to run up and down, it's a problem. One of the things that I can mention in this regard is that somewhere in January, the offices of crime intelligence in East London, somebody just walked us to get inside the gate, proceeded to the offices, asked for a particular officer, went there and said, once he was there, declared the office a crime scene. Now, once declared a crime scene, he made a demand of, I think, 1.2 million or so. And then the officer in that office went out, came back with 1.2 million, gave it to this person. Person climbed down, walked out of the building, out of the gate, just walked, no car, and then walked and disappeared, although subsequently arrested by DPCI. But I'm saying those things, they contributed in one of the directives to say, what kind of people do we have in crime intelligence? And in Randburg as well, there was also a report that 600,000 disappeared from the hands of officers who were there, distributed it amongst themselves and so on. So those are the matters. So I would say it does take confidence. It does need to be looked at, our behavior in relation to business people and so on, if we are to inspire confidence. Leave that, go to, I do want to just pass the affidavit. We had a discussion with Honorable Malema on this, in this committee, and I said I share his views in terms of the affidavit, but sharing the views as I do, that is the very thing that is being used to keep on poking at me to say, there's a person I relate with when I say, I don't relate to Matlala, I've never spoken, but there's still things that are running. Now, when the lawyers get an affidavit, I don't think I deserve to be, well, criticism is always, but I don't deserve to be, well, I would say we need to equally recognize that that is the very same person that is being used to say this one relates to the other. So when the affidavit says something and people tend to disregard that, I have a feeling that says that we are choosing, we choose sides and so on. Let me pass that. So go to the fundamental question that what needs to be done when there is a situation like that and people in South Africa feel the way. I would have said openly to this ad hoc committee that down the line you would have needed some measures, maybe not wholesale overhaul, but you would have needed measures to overhaul certain aspects of South African police service if you are to gain confidence. One of those is to say, what is the standard? What are the norms and standards for a police station? And I've put it to management that let's do the norms and standards for a police station. Because police and policing is not just head office. police and policing is what people see on a daily basis and what they hear on a daily basis. Now, what is the system that station commanders use to police their area and so on? What informs them? And then overhaul the system of vehicles in police stations. This practice of a car breaks down somewhere Kukumbu in the Eastern Cape. Then an email has to go to the district office, then to the provincial office, then to head office. And then the person who fixes cars says, I want to wait until there are 15 breakdowns before I go down. It just is taking us nowhere. It doesn't build confidence and so on. Make the system work in favor of those who are on the ground, who are chasing criminals on a daily basis. You need an overhaul there. We spoke about that, but I don't think that as of now we are talking. In other words, build confidence from the floor and upwards, and do tangible things. If you have a police station which you promised some 5, 10 years ago and you haven't done so, and there's crime, people will say it's because that police station has not been delivered. And therefore juggle the way you build infrastructure, your model of building infrastructure of police. And so there are quite a number of things. I call them enablers. We identified them and we spoke about them. Build down, and let's not talk too much. Let's talk less and do the job on the ground, and then deal with deal with matters. As long as we have this rate of matters, the drugs and firearms, which affects people on a daily basis, where they are losing their relatives and so on, people killed innocent. And for that you need resources. Let's be realistic. You need resources. And you're not going to get those from Treasury. You are going to have to deal with the matters on the ground. I would say it's a long process which needs drastic steps, of course with caution because you are dealing with people to take. But if you draw back, if you sit back and you think that there's going to be confidence suddenly, I don't think that is realistic. It's not. Unfortunately, Mpemba, as I end, there are risks in doing these things, these reforms and so on. There are risks. It's not going to be like sleeping on a bed. There are risks. It's going to cause some gravel in terms of feelings and so on. But you need these changes. You need these changes on the ground so that you bring confidence to the people. And it needs that kind of resolve internal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Whip. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. We have come to the end of this session. No.
Speaker kanjani lapho Chair?
I'm saying we have come to the end of the session, not of the proceedings. We are going to break immediately and come back at 5. Thank you so much.